Howdy, Buffalo Bart here, and welcome to What the News. Alright, so this is kind of a ongoing thing, but a little bit new format, sort of, whatever. Where I can sit here and vent about stupid shit in the news. Again, in the video description, there is a warning saying that there is more than likely going to be foul language, so if you're sensitive and foul language might offend you, goodbye. You've been warned. I'm a grumpy old bastard, and I'm going to tell it like I feel. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. If I think something is bullshit, I'm going to say it's bullshit. If it's stupid, I'm going to say it's stupid, whatever. So if you are too sensitive and you get offended by foul language and harsh opinions, then goodbye. If you stick around, you get what you deserve. And you get the truth of how I feel, at least. Alright, the first thing I want to talk about, and it's definitely been in the news, and you click on this thing right there, and you get this thing called Google.com. Yep, the first one, and we're going to just show just for general purposes, in shortly before 3 o'clock this morning, in a town called Miramar, in Florida, a man drove his SUV through a very well marked construction zone and ran into a piece of construction equipment, i.e. a crane, which crushed his car and killed him. Yeah, you're going to see that it pretty much skewered the top off of his frickin' vehicle. And he was killed during the accident. So we can show some other images of that, but there were other images that I saw from video and so forth that showed some obvious markings that this was definitely a construction zone. This doesn't look to me as though it's something that's just been placed. It appears that that's actually been a while, and since I'm streaming, it's taking a while for the image to come in clear. I love my shit internet. It's absolutely just amazing. Thank you, AT&T. Amazing service. So yeah, well marked, well known that this was a construction zone. Traffic was rerouted around it, and this vehicle, the driver of this vehicle, drove through the barricades, the signs, all of the orange barrels and so forth. Just drove right through them, not paying attention, and ended up, as you can see, ripping the top off of his vehicle. Mostly, I'm sure rescue probably recovering his worthless body. Had to remove more of it, but as you can see, it looks like it just peeled back the roof of his Chevy Tahoe. So yeah, that's another idiot removed from the gene pool, thankfully. I saw on reports where people were like, "Oh, it's so sad when someone dies like this." No, it's not. It's not sad at all. It's sad for the construction company because this idiot might have actually damaged their crane. And the fact that it fell over and that kind of stuff. So who's going to pay for the damages to the crane? God, that's a terrible image. It is not scaling correctly. Oh, wow, that's beautiful. So yeah, now it clears up. But you can see that the crane was probably not damaged all that much, other than, I don't know if it was knocked over and it fell to that point or what have you. But the fact that it's there, and this definitely does not look like a normal area where traffic should be going. Yeah. So there was no reason for this car to have gone through that zone. Other pictures, like I said, I'd seen in video where there were a ton of frickin' barrels that were lined up. It was a clearly marked construction zone. So this person was obviously either on his cell phone or texting or drunk or under the influence of narcotics or what have you. And this person's name was mentioned in some of the other reports. I'm not going to go into that. Not important, actually. You know, if you're friends or family with this individual, sorry for your loss, but I'm not going to be sad that this person is actually gone. Because if they were that stupid to be that distracted and drove through, you can see orange barrels right there. There's more of them way back there in the distance. So if this person was so distracted that they missed all those, traffic barrels and signs and so forth, saying, "Hey, you know you're not supposed to go through here." It's common sense. So if you're that dumb that you drove through all that you were so distracted because of whatever reason that you drove through that, you don't deserve to be in the gene pool. I'm sorry, you don't deserve it. And I am thankful for one thing, that nobody else was injured. Usually whenever an idiot gets involved in an accident, it's the innocent bystanders or the innocent other drivers that pay for somebody else's mistake. I've been involved in 3 accidents, vehicle related, 4 or more. I've never been in a vehicle accident that I have caused. I've been in a vehicle that was rear-ended. That, lesson to learn, I wasn't driving, I was a passenger in the vehicle. But here's something always to remember. And we weren't in this. We were just going down the highway, minding our own business. But there was a young kid, and a nice kid. I knew him before the accident and afterwards. But he made one mistake, and he was prepared to make a turn, and traffic was not clear because we were coming. But he had his wheels turned already. Just because you're getting ready to make a left-hand turn doesn't mean you need to go ahead and have your wheels turned. Always keep your wheels straight until you physically are making your turn. What happened was he was stopped, had his turn signal on, doing what he was supposed to do, except for the fact that he had his wheels turned already. When an older gentleman who was under the influence of prescription medication, who should not have been driving, rear-ended this kid. And whenever he did so, the old man wasn't even wearing a seatbelt on top of that. But when he rear-ended the kid, it caused his car to turn. The kid's car turned because his wheels were already turned, which then pushed him directly in front of us, and we hit him head on, destroying the car that we were in. Thankfully, it was a full-size Mercury Grand Marquis. I mean, old school, big, square body Grand Marquis, and a big, solid car, And we both had, me and my father were in the vehicle. We both had our seatbelts on. And thankfully, we were uninjured. The weird part of this, my dad was a paramedic. I was an EMT. We were both firefighters. We were actually coming back from a fire call, and we're not speeding. We're just going normal speed, just heading back home. But both of us being, him being a paramedic, myself being an EMT, since now we're involved in a car accident where there's 2 other people who are severely injured. Poor kid got hurt bad. The old man about went through the windshield, and you could see a big star and caved in portion of the windshield where his head almost went through the windshield. So 2 ambulances showed up because they initially got the call that there was 4 people injured. Well, my father and I just had bruises from seatbelts. So my father went with one ambulance and helped with the care of that patient. I went with the other one to assist. So we were actually working on the other patients because they were involved in the accident because they were hurt bad. And so we get to the hospital, and people in the ER are like, "We were told there was 4 people." Like, well, you got these 2 right here. Well, me and Dad were both in the other car, and they're like, "Oh, do you guys need care?" "No, we just got bruises." So we were the innocent victim there, just minding our own business, going through. And this poor kid, he was innocent in this. The only thing he did wrong was he had his wheels turned, prepared to make his turn. But whenever he got rear-ended, it causes his vehicle to veer into our lane of traffic and cause us to get hit head-on. So, yeah. Wasn't necessarily the kid's fault. Definitely wasn't our fault. It was an old guy that shouldn't have been driving because he was on medication that impaired his judgment. A few years back, another incident. Um, Two police officers were killed. Well, one was killed, I think, and one was seriously injured. But the situation was an off-duty police officer was going down the interstate and saw a car on the side of the road with the flashers on. Goodness of his heart, he pulled over, put his lights on, walked over. Come to find out, it's an older lady who had a flat tire. So he stopped to assist this older lady with a flat tire. An on-duty police officer sees this, like, why is this officer pulled over on the side of the road with his lights on, and it's not his jurisdiction, that kind of stuff. So he pulls over to find out what's going on. Turns out, oh, okay, this is what's going on. So he's out also assisting. So these two police officers are stopped to assist somebody. One's off duty, one's on duty, to assist this lady with a flat tire. Well, as they're attempting to help with this, another person coming down the interstate, not paying attention, blinded by the blues or whatever else you want to consider it, who was also, in this particular case, under the influence of prescription medication that was impairing his judgment, runs off the side of the road, hits the back of one police car, shoving it into the other police car, which shoved it into the lady's car, and there just happened to be an officer back there putting the spare tire back, or the flat tire, in the trunk of the other car. So he got pinned between two vehicles and killed. Off duty, while stopped to assist another motorist. As it turns out, the woman that had the flat tire was driving under suspension for DUI, and was also not, and so she was not supposed to be in that vehicle driving to begin with, but because she drove and then had a flat tire and then was stuck on the side of the road, these two officers ended up stopping to assist somebody who shouldn't have been on the fucking road to begin with. Of which then an impaired driver, a chemically impaired driver, runs off the road, hits one car, knocking it into the other one, and killing the one police officer and injuring the other, and the woman in the car. He was also driving with a suspended driver's license, who should not have been on the fucking road. So you've got a police officer who had stopped out of the kindness of his friggin' heart, gets killed because of two fucking drivers who shouldn't have been on the goddamn road. Bullshit. My opinion, that police officer was a hero. But it was a needless death because of two fucking people who should not have been on the road. Those two should be combined with the driver of the one that hit the rear of the other car, mostly responsible for all this. But they both should be responsible for, and should have been responsible for every bit of that police officer's funeral, headstone, taking care of the family. I mean, they should have been sued until their brains hurt. But I'm sure something, that didn't happen. Bullshit. People dying that didn't need to die because of stupidity. And while I'm thinking about police officers who died needlessly, a guy that I knew pretty well, chief of police for a small town police department, pulls over a pickup truck that had a taillight out. A taillight out. Okay. Not that big of a deal. I knew the guy. He would not have been, the kind of person that would have been a douche and actually said, well, you've got a taillight out, I'm going to, take your vehicle. No, he was going to give them a warning. A verbal warning. Hey, did you know your taillight's out? I've been pulled over because I had a headlight that went out. And I didn't know it was out. And it had just gone out while I was driving. And turns out the police officer was very polite, very nice. And he's like, hey, you got a headlight out. I'm like, I do? Can I get out and look? He's like, sure, I guess. So I was driving my Jeep. It didn't have doors on, didn't have a top on, nothing. So I popped out and looked. Oh, crap, yeah. And to make it even worse, I worked at an auto parts store. If I had known the freaking headlight was out, I would have got an employee discount on getting a new one. And we had them in stock, so it's not like, I had an excuse if I knew, but I didn't know it was out. But the officer was really nice. Couldn't fault him for that. He didn't give me a ticket. He was just like, oh, well, just, when you get to work tomorrow, just change it out. I'm like, you got it, bud. Thanks. You be safe. But, yeah, so this police officer pulls the guy over for, the police chief, he pulls the guy over for a taillight out. And as he gets out of his patrol car, he approaches the driver's side of the vehicle, and the driver pulled out a pistol and shot the police officer in the face, killed him. Because apparently he had a little bit of marijuana in his vehicle, and he didn't want to go to jail for a simple possession of marijuana charge. Really? You're that fucking stupid that you would kill another person because you had a little bit of weed on you? You need to be executed publicly, slowly. Fuck, it's terrible. So we're going to move on to the next point here, and I am sure that everybody has heard about Storm Area 51. It started off as a prank on Facebook and meme and whatever you want to frickin' call it to just be funny. Hey, we ought to storm Area 51. I'm going to go ahead and do it, and we're going to go free the aliens. And it started off as a bullshit prank on Facebook that has pretty much exploded into a really, really big event. And you can see this person here has actually made up rock throwers and Naruto runners, whatever the fuck that is, and Kyle's, they're drawing up plans on how they're going to make their attack and storm the gates of Area 51. And as it's put, they can't stop us. They can't stop all of us, or they can't stop us all. I've heard it both ways. Yeah. I don't care how it started. It was wrong for the person to have made the first post about storming Area 51. It was stupid for you to have done it to begin with. To do this in a public area like on Facebook where lots of people can actually see it and respond to it. It was irresponsible and just stupid. Even if it was done as a prank, it does not matter. It is stupid. What is this right here? Please email all blah, 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 for business inquiries. And yes, you want to join the stupidity? How about this? Arby's has decided they're going to pitch in and, okay, you know what? For the time being, until Arby's decide to get their head out of their ass about this bullshit, about going out there and providing food and setting up a trailer or whatever, I don't care. As long as Arby's wants to be part of this, they need to be boycotted. Because if they're contributing to this, A, they're just trying to monopolize on it and get free publicity and try to make some money out of this, so fuck you. B, if you're going to support this kind of stupidity, then you don't need to stay in business. You don't need legitimate customers going and supporting you for supporting stupid like this. Yes, this says, nearly 2 million people have RSVP'd to storm Area 51. I know that there's hundreds of thousands of people who have signed up on the Facebook group and this kind of shit. And you should be ashamed of yourself. Plain and simple. There's multiple reasons why you should not do this. There is no legitimate reason why you should storm Area 51. There is none. There is no legitimate reason for you to do this. First off, if you do decide that you're going to approach that, keep in mind, this says Nellis Bombing and Gunnery Range, restricted area, no trespassing. This is a federal installation. You're not even allowed to take photographs of the area. But what you need to look at is the writing down here on the bottom of this part of the sign. And of course, none of this shit says Area 51. None of the legitimate signs say Area 51. But there's the little red writing down here that's on this sign that needs to be paid attention to very closely. Use of deadly force authorized. Not maybe authorized. It is authorized. If you attempt to gain access to this military facility, this is a U.S. military facility. If you attempt to gain access to this facility, you are performing an act of terrorism. Plain and simple. Terrorism. I mean, hell, even the SETI Institute, which is a legitimate thing, by the way, has a video talking about 5 reasons not to storm Area 51. I'm going to give you some reasons not to storm Area 51. And again, it is a military facility, U.S. military facility. So therefore, if you attempt to gain access to this, you are committing an act of domestic terrorism and are subject to be shot on sight. Use of lethal force should be used at this point, because if there are thousands of people who show up and attempt to do this, yes, they can stop all of you. They can't stop all of us. Yes, they can. Yes, they will. Yes, they should. And lethal force should be used. There is no legitimate reason for you to want to gain access to Area 51, which does not technically exist because it's called Groom Lake and it's called other things there too. Here's some reasons why. Let me introduce you to one of the reasons. This is the M134. It fires a 7.62 by 5.1 NATO cartridge, 308 if you will. It can fire between 2,000 and 6,000 rounds per minute of those 308s, 7.62 NATO cartridges. It is electrically operated. It does not jam. If it fails to fire, it just kicks out the bad shell. It will not stop shooting until someone lets go of the trigger. Okay? That's roughly between 33 and 100 bullets per second. Per second. Well, I'll just hide behind my car. No, you won't. If you're not familiar with what the 308 cartridge can do with a standard ball round, 7.62 ball round, it will penetrate 2 cars with no problem. It can penetrate up to a 1/4 inch of steel plate. I have shot through 1/4 inch steel plate with 308s. So yeah, that's the M134. It's a really good reason right there. And they're going to have plenty of them, because if you know that you're going to face anywhere from 1,000 to 200,000 or more enemy combatants, you're going to up the firepower to suit the target environment. So therefore, you can expect to see multiple vehicle mounted, aircraft mounted, and fortification or ground mounted, like tripods and so forth, pedestals. No, you can't hold this motherfucker like in the movie Predator. This ain't the fucking movies. It's way too heavy, and it has way too much recoil, and you will not hold on to it and fire this from, movie style. That's Hollywood bullshit, so grow up. But they will be vehicle mounted, they will be pedestal mounted, there will be fortification mounted, they will be aircraft mounted. There will be lots of these, firing between 2,000 and 6,000 rounds per minute, and it does not take long for them to cover a large amount of area. And yeah, just because you think that you're okay whenever they're shooting it because you're in the crowd, no. The 308 cartridge will penetrate easily through a human body, possibly through a second, and maybe into a third, depending on where it hits on the target. One projectile might take out as many as 2 to 3 people. And again, whenever you're firing between 2,000 and 6,000 rounds per minute, yeah, there's just nowhere to hide. And if you think that you can get away from the M134, let me introduce you to another reason. This is the Mark 19. This is a 40mm grenade launcher that is fully automatic, mounted on tripods, vehicles, pedestals, aircraft. It fires approximately 1 round per second, and if you can imagine, this is like taking a hand grenade and being able to throw this hand grenade, well out to, 1,500 meters or 1,600 yards. It can go farther, but essentially at that kind of ranges, doesn't have to, or at all, it just does not have to hit you. They can fire a standard high explosive round with this, which will fragment, and the kill radius is easily 5 meters. So anybody within 5 meters is going to be fucked. Pre-fragmented grenades, meaning that there are steel ball bearings and shit inside these grenades that whenever it blows up, it's like a shotgun going off in every direction. Yeah, that's going to be a thing. And when you're firing 1 round per second, 60 rounds a minute, actually it can do more, but on average about 1 round per second. One of these with a 50 round, 100 round belt is absolutely freaking devastating. High explosive rounds will cause cars to shred, hitting gas tanks, starting fires, the smoke from the gas and everything else. Yeah, so if you think you're going to bring a car out there and it's going to be a thing, no, it's not. Between the M134 and the Mark 19, that's going to be 2 really big things that are going to slow down the progression of I don't give a shit how many. Yes, they can stop you all. Let's see here. Another good reason here. This is something that I've seen in action before, and it scares the fuck out of me. Doesn't look like much. Looks like a cracker box with tracks. It's a variation of the M113 armored personnel carrier that's been around since the 70s. Okay, it's old. It works. It's amphibious. It can swim. Of course, you're not going to deal with that if you're going to Area 51, but it will swim. It will cross pretty much any terrain. It's still a decent vehicle. But the thing that's mounted on top of it is what I'm really talking about right here. This is called the M163 VADS. Not VAG, but VADS, V-A-D-S. It is a Vulcan 20 millimeter autocannon, which is the big brother of the M134. So you're still talking about up to, 6,000 rounds per minute of 20 millimeter projectiles. Well, I don't know what millimeters versus inches are, okay? If you're an American like I am, and you don't know the conversion, half an inch is 12.5 roughly millimeters. So you're talking about roughly a little bit more than 3/4 of an inch in diameter, about 2-inch long projectile that is armor piercing or explosive or what have you. There's various different rounds to go along with that as well. I don't care if you're hiding behind a car. I don't care if you're in an armor personnel carrier. It's going to cut through it, and you're not going to survive. Vulcan don't give a damn. I mean, hell, if they bring those out, that's good against ground personnel. It's good against anti-material, anti-vehicle, anti-aircraft. It's the thing. Some of you may have seen this. The Black Rifle Coffee Company created a little cool tool. It is a Prius with that same Vulcan on it. This same autocannon is the same one that was used on the F-16 fighter plane and other fighter aircraft. The M61 Vulcan autocannon. But yeah, Black Rifle Coffee Company mounted one on top of a Prius. So yeah, if you want to man up your Prius a little bit, that's how you do it. So yeah. For those people who just insist that they're going to storm Area 51, you can expect that you're going to die. If you cross that fence, then I severely hope that the facility security does open fire, and I hope they execute everybody who crosses that fence. And if you are approaching that fence and you get accidentally hit by a stray round, good for you. Because if you show up at all outside the fence, for whatever reason, you are still part of that. That is a riot. That is domestic terrorism. and you deserve what you get. So don't even bother going. Don't show up. If you want to see what happens, wait for the news reports. Okay? Don't go out there at all, because you will die. And if you do not die, I will be really, really pissed off that the U.S. military allowed people to get across that line. Plain and simple, you have no reason to be there. You have no reason to show up out there. You have no reason to support anything to do with what's going on out there. If you storm Area 51, you cross that fence, you deserve to die. Die. Not be arrested, not be tased, not be sprayed with fire hoses and all that. Think about logistics, okay? If 250,000 people show up, which won't, but if 250,000 people actually show up out there, what is that going to do to the community that's in the surrounding area? So if you show up to that area, there's not going to be hotel rooms to support that many people out there. There's not even any fucking hotels that are close by. So what are you going to do? You're going to pitch tents? Where? On private property? Then you're trespassing. You need to be arrested and taken away for trespassing. So you don't own the land. It's not public land. You're trying to gain access to a U.S. military facility. You're facilitating an act of domestic terrorism. So therefore, you deserve what you get, which hopefully is death. You want people to get killed, American citizens to get killed? No, I want fucking terrorists to get killed. I don't give a fuck what country you're from. If you're committing an act of terrorism within the borders of the United States, you need to be put down with a quickness. You need to be quickly dealt with in the harshest, most possible manner, so that an example is set for anybody else who thinks it's a funny thing to do to assault a U.S. military facility, but they're going to be unarmed. Don't care. I don't care. What do all the signs say? And look at the legitimate signs, not just Googling shit and saying, oh, well, this one says this. No, this is the actual signs you're going to see. They will all say basically the same thing. No trespassing beyond this point. Restricted area. Not even allowed to take photographs. Photography is prohibited, which means you're not allowed to do it, in case you're too stupid to know what that fucking means. It is unlawful to enter this area without permission of the installation commander. And I'm pretty sure you're not going to have permission. While on this installation, all personnel and property under their control are subject to search. Use of deadly force authorized. These signs will be posted all over the place. You have been warned. You have been warned. You know that it is possible that they will use lethal force. They have been authorized to do so. Yeah. So don't even do it. Don't even go. Don't even support any of the bullshit about it. And hell, if you go to, it's Groom Lake, Nevada. If you search for Area 51 on Google, you're not going to find anything. If you go to Google Maps and search, and there's another thing too that needs to fucking stop. And I'm thinking that Google might have already started fixing a little bit of this, but all these retards that have been going in here and placing fake restaurants like Del Taco and McDonald's and all this other bullshit, you need to stop. This is Groom Lake. This is the main facility area, and thankfully, Google has gone in and cleaned it up. If you see any restaurants or where people have gone in there and put in a restaurant, and there was a McDonald's, there was a Del Taco, there was about 9 or 10 other things that were put in as fake facilities here. That shit needs to stop. That's childish bullshit. Don't do it. Google is watching this now. I suggest that if you see it, you report it. And if you don't know how to report it, see if I can find one that yeah, they've all been cleaned off. Thank you, Google. I really do appreciate it. But you can actually click on it, and actually, when you do, you'll see the options, and just follow the prompts to go through there. So this is it. This is Groom Lake. This is what everybody wants to do to go free the fucking aliens. Yeah, and I've looked at this before and talked about some of the potentials of what some of these buildings are. This is a U.S. military facility. Note the big runways. They've actually, like this runway here, this long one, has, I don't know if you've scrolled in and looked, you see X's on them. You know what those X's mean? That runway is no longer in use. This is the new runway. They put a brand new, wider, nicer runway up with large taxiways. Yeah, I'm just going to say it again. It's a U.S. military facility. Know that there are radar dishes all the way around, but there's other things you need to keep in mind. These guys are trained. They have test facilities, test tracks. They perform different maneuvers out here. They do practice bombing. In fact, not far from there, if you spend some time on Google Maps, and I do whenever I get bored, you scroll into this area just to the west of it. You see all these big circles and big craters on the ground here, like Sedan Crater. Do you know what these are? These are where big-ass bombs, including nuclear weapons, have been tested. Most of them underground. That's why you have the larger craters like that. Huge bombs and ordnance have been tested out here. So therefore, there are large craters. Like this. This was part of it. There's also, ammo storage facilities. This is a bombing area right here. So, yeah, not somewhere you'd really want to go in case there is unexploded ordnance. Well, if it didn't blow up whenever it hit the ground, why would it blow up now? Because, well, if you don't know why, then you shouldn't be fucking with it. What happens is old school bombs, and I guess some of the newer ones too, the way that they were wound, there was a propeller on the nose of the bomb that would spin, calculate distance, and it would be preset to detonate at a specific altitude so that it could actually blow up above the ground. And if it was not set correctly and it hit the ground and that propeller became jammed on the front, or the other method of fusing for time delay just happened to fail, it's basically a ticking time bomb. If you kick it or step it on it or whatever else by accident, it's going to dislodge itself and it may actually go off. So there's a good chance if you step on one, then it may go off and you may die. Well, shouldn't they recover it? It's a fucking bombing range. The next bomb that hits close to it's going to make it go off anyway, so why bother? They know it's a bombing range. They know they drop bombs there, so why would they care? They know where to drive, where not to drive. It's their property. It's a U.S. military facility. But that is just to the west, southwest from the actual Groom Lake facility. What do they do at Area 51? Do they have aliens there? Who cares? There's a big thing of need to know and right to know. If you need to know that the Earth is getting ready to crack in half and kill everybody on it, would you really want to know to begin with? Do you really need to know? Because if you were told, then it would cause mass hysteria and people would panic and dumb shit would entail. So, yeah. See this black thing right there? That's an airplane. Can't really tell what type. I'm not super genius on aircraft, but I'm not ignorant on them. But, well, why is it black? Well, it could be a night fighter. Set up for flying at nighttime for doing... Also, it could be set up for stealth purposes. It could be for whatever. It's a fucking military base. They're testing new things. There's actually... Well, there's a couple Black Hawk helicopters here, too. There was one section that the higher classified stuff took place. There was also one facility where, and it may not be there, but it was separated from the buildings, and what it was, they were testing new types of radar systems. They needed a way to keep isolation of the radar signal. And if you look, there's an awful lot of nothing around this area. So by having a large facility and a large circumference around that facility, and being able to control, okay, we're going to perform testing, no vehicles are to be used at a certain time, all generators, all electricity, all everything else is turned off, so that they can properly test the electromagnetic field and radiation patterns and this and that and everything else. They can have control of the facility because it's their facility. They don't need fucking idiots sneaking onto the property with cameras and cell phones and drones and bullshit like that, causing issues with their equipment during testing. So that's one thing that they do out there, is they're testing new methods of detecting threats to the United States of America, the country we live in. Yeah, national security, homeland defense, and U.S. military. Yeah, there's a reason why we have secrets in the military. Yeah, I'm not in the military anymore, but the reason why the military has secrets is so the other people don't know about it. You don't want the enemy knowing, well, here's the specs to our secret radar systems. Here's the specs for our aircraft. So you can see this is definitely, you can tell by the lines in here, these are essentially the guidelines for aircraft that are moving to and fro. So an aircraft will follow their nose wheel on this particular thing, and they can actually go all the way around, loop back in, and go back into the facility. So classified aircraft will be stored in this facility right here. You can bet, and since there is a large wide open area around it, it's easier to secure, and you know that there's going to be cameras. So besides the cameras, besides the guys in the white trucks, see, there's two of them right there. Besides those, there are sensors in the ground, and I've used some of these sensors before, even the older ones, and they pick up on seismic activity. And even the old shit that we were using even back in the late 80s and early 90s, even that older shit then would still use a switchboard type. I mean, hell, whenever I set up some of it in an area that I won't talk about, but setting them up, the consoles, it was like, if you've ever seen an old movie where you pull the plug in and stick it into another socket and you're connecting someone's phone call, switchboards, the old switchboard types. It was like that. You basically had a plug on the end, like a banana plug, and you plugged it in, and zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you knew where those different zones were because you hand drew a map on it. And what will happen is essentially the threshold level will detect the vibrations of, depending on your calibration. I've had it dialed way too sensitive and was able to even pick up a squirrel hopping across the ground going from tree to tree. So they are very sensitive, even the older ones like that. They pick up seismic activity of movement on the ground. And yes, even if it's loose sand, they can still function correctly. So they have seismic. They know that somebody has crossed in that area. The fences have sensors on them, not just cut sensors, where if you try to cut the fence to be able to go through, but there's also movement. They can know that within a certain level of movement that the fence, somebody is on the fence. There will be a resistance change. So they can actually tell if somebody is actually touching the fence. It doesn't have to be electrified. These are all passive type sensors that require low energy. They don't really require much of anything, but they can actually detect that somebody's trying to climb a fence. Shit works. They have cameras placed in quite a different few locations. No, they can't watch every square inch of the fence line of a facility area that is quite large. I mean, it's going to cover up onto this mountain range here and over into here. I mean, there's still shit all the way over here as well. So there's a really, really large facility. No, they can't watch every inch of it. But if you know that there's going to be an attack, what fucktards are going to say, hey, we're going to do this, and we're going to do it on this particular day, at about this approximate time. So everybody meet there, and it's public on every freaking form of public media, from YouTube to Facebook to whatever these Twitchers, whatever the fuck those things are called. I don't use none of them. I very rarely even look at Facebook. So, yeah, why would you announce when you're actually going to do it? And, yeah. So a known time frame of when you're planning on doing this attack. It's September 20th, by the way. Everybody knows when it's going to be. So you know that the military is going to go ahead and plan ahead of time and step up the security even more than normal, way ahead of time. Another runway over here as well. So yeah, they know when it's going to be. They know pretty much everything about it, because just because you may be secretive on some things about it, it doesn't mean you don't have somebody already infiltrated in by the government that knows everything about what's going on. So no matter what, it's going to fail one way or the other. But there's also talk about public groups who are going to show up and patrol the outlying areas, and they're going to be watching and waiting. And if shit hits the fan and people do start hitting the fence, they're going to open fire. These are civilian groups. They're not military. They're not government. These are private citizens who are going out there to defend a U.S. military facility. Yeah, that's kind of criminal too, but it's a good intention, a better intention than storming a fucking Area 51. But these guys are talking about they're going to be setting up as snipers. They're going to be setting up patrol teams, drones, both ground and air. They're going to be watching, and they're going to be looking, and if they find people, they're going to pursue them. And if they see someone doing anything illegal, they can, since that is technically an act of terrorism. If you go to storm Area 51 and you put your hands on the fence and look like you're trying to climb the fence, that is an act of terrorism. If you get on top of the fence, if you're on the fence, you're on government property, nonetheless. But if you get across that fence, you have then committed an act of domestic terrorism, and they can shoot you. Even these civilian groups can actually shoot you, because you are now a national security threat, and they're protecting their country. So therefore, they are legally, for the most part, in the right for being able to actually shoot you themselves. The U.S. government can and should and will open fire to protect a facility, because if you storm and get across the fence line, you have crossed into U.S. government property, and you have openly violated every known sense of common sense, and you're violating federal law. You're trespassing with malicious intent. There is no positive intent on crossing into Area 51. And it's not even called Area 51. If you look at the signs, so if you just do a Google search for Area 51 signs, you're going to find a lot of real ones, but you're also going to find a lot of bullshit signs. Oh, look at this dumb fuck. You think you're so cool. Oh, I got this cool face mask and glasses on. I'm awesome. Shots fired. Fuck you, idiot. Get a better fucking hobby. Seriously. I mean, what the hell? Look at signs like this. No drone zone. Photography of this area is prohibited, but someone still took a picture of the fucking sign. It's warning. U.S. Air Force installation. Of course, these are fake signs. Like this. Restricted area, no trespassing beyond this point. Photography is prohibited. The use of lethal force has been conveniently blocked out on this one, because this sign right here is a separate sign that was added to this sign. This one right here is completed by saying use of lethal force is authorized. but somebody has edited it out on that, and it looks just like this. Use of deadly force authorized. If you know this, if you're some Area 51 nut and you decide, oh, I'm going to storm Area 51, then you know what's going on. You know about these signs. You know what these signs look like and what they mean and everything else. You know that use of deadly force authorized. You know that's on the sign. You know. So why would you go? It just makes no sense. I know that this was initially started as a hoax, but with hundreds of thousands of people who have signed up to actually go along with this bullshit, even if their intent is as a hoax, with 250,000 people who signed up to actually go out there, if you're falsely supporting this, I'll just click on it saying that I'm going to show up, but you're not actually going to show up. Okay? Why would you falsely put down that you're going to be there? Even if you supported this cause wholeheartedly for some God knows a reason, why would you say, okay, I'm going to go there, and falsely commit to that? A, it makes you a fucking troll because you're lying. You're a fucking liar, which still makes you a piece of shit. Okay? So you're lying to all these other people. You're making troll comments saying, oh yeah, I'm going to be there. We're going to storm Area 51. We're going to, we're going to free the aliens, or we're going to do whatever. It's just immoral. It's stupid, childish, and yeah, it's just absolutely pointless. It's actually just troll bullshit. Just to start shit. Technically speaking, the person who started it is, this person is under investigation by the FBI to begin with, but that person can be detained by the FBI for inciting riotous act. I'm sure there's some other laws that they've broken in the process of doing this. It's inciting hysteria. It's caused people like myself to get pissed off. I don't give a fuck one way or the other. But honestly, what I do care about is the security of this country. And if you commit an act of terrorism inside the borders of this country, you deserve to be shot and killed. You should be removed from the gene pool. If you're that stupid to try it, then you are not fit for the gene pool. You should be removed, preferably by force. Just like the dumb fuck in the beginning of this video. Stupid hurts, but not nearly enough as it should. So remember, if you take the time to go all the way out there, then first off, you got way too much time and money on your hands to be able to go out there. Second off, you will be committing an act of terrorism, trespassing. Even the land around it, you will be trespassing. If you take a public road to go to the gates and try to drive through the gates, your vehicle will be placed under attack. You will be fired upon by trying to gain access through a gate. You will be fired upon. Your vehicle will be shot and destroyed, and preferably you along with it. If you get close to the property line, look at this dumb shit. Fucker took his family up there. They're being held at gunpoint, as they should. They got either too close or to the line, and they were detained. Should be arrested. You're taking your life into your hands. So don't believe the hype. Don't follow the hype. Don't be part of the stupidity. Don't support it. If you see a company that is supporting this bullshit, like Arby's right now, I say we all boycott Arby's. Because I'm hiding my Arby's cup right here. We should all boycott Arby's until they say, okay, we shouldn't have done it. Sorry, fuck it, we're out of here. But if they continue to support it, then boycott Arby's. If McDonald's jumps on the bandwagon, boycott them. Whatever company supports this, boycott them. Let them know that it's pointless and stupid. So I'm going to wrap up this video. We're almost at the 1 hour mark, and all I've covered was this bullshit and the dumbass in Florida. So, again, if you're even thinking about going, don't. If you have signed up on that Facebook group or whatever other groups, get your name off that list, because you can guarantee that that information will be subpoenaed. You will be put on a list of domestic terrorists, even if you don't do anything, but just put your name on the list. You can guarantee that if your name is on that list, it's been recorded by the government. If you're trying to stay off the grid and out of the government's eye, that's not a way of doing it. You can guarantee that they know what's going to happen, and you know that the U.S. military, the government in general, knows what's going to happen. They're going to be prepared for it. And if you do, for some unknown stupidity reason, do go out there, let it be known that if you're assembling, then you need to have a permit if you're on any kind of public land. And if you block roadways, you can be arrested. If you're assembled without a permit, you can be arrested. You can be told to leave. If you attempt to cross the fence line or the border into the U.S. military facility, you should be and can be shot. If you try to drive your vehicle through the gate, they will open fire. They will shoot you and your vehicle and stop you from gaining entrance. If you try to go in as a mass crowd and think that, well, they can't stop all of us, let me remind you about something. Mr. M134. Don't want you to forget about Mr. M134. Okay? And he has friends. Okay? I don't want you to also forget about his friend, Mr. Mark 19. Or, they even got a bigger friend as well, Mr. M163. There's other things like, I don't know, the M2, M3 Bradley. Bradley IFV. Still in use. It's the government. They have really big guns. But, hell, just that number one right there. The M134 firing between 2,000 and 6,000 rounds per minute of 7.62 by 5.1 NATO cartridge. That's between 33 and 100 rounds per second. Up to 100 rounds per second of something that can penetrate a quarter inch of steel. You're not going to make it very far. Oh, and here's some other things that they have a lot of. It's old. It's been around since World War I, probably. It's the Browning M2 HB, the 50 caliber machine gun. It fires a 1/2 inch diameter bullet, approximately 2.5 inches long, that weighs anywhere from, I'm going to give you measurements in grains because that's what I know for that. It's about 650 to 750 grains. So it's a relatively hefty little 1/2 inch diameter, 2.5 inch long bullet that is quite capable of killing you out past a mile. So they're going to have those out there as well. Let's see, M240 Bravo, preferably. Another gem from Fabrique Nationale is the M240. Also 7.62 by 5.1 NATO cartridge. Not quite as fast as the M134, but still quite stable, good platform, and will say hello to you in ways that you just don't like. And I'm sure there's still some 249s out there which look very similar, but yeah, they have these lovely little fuck your airsoft page. Um, little drums that clip onto the bottom right here that'll hold 200 rounds of 5.56 by 4.5 NATO cartridge, or 5.56 or 223, whichever you prefer to call it. 200 rounds on a belted drum that can quickly be unclipped, thrown down, another one popped in, and another belt slapped on. I know I've put lots and lots of rounds through an M249. This just happens to be the para version, which has a shorter barrel and a collapsible stock, but not that much collapsible. Yeah, it can fire up to 1,000 rounds per minute of 5.56, and it's quick to reload. And worst case scenario, the older versions, I'm not sure if all the newer ones do have it or not, but right along the side here at an angle, you can actually stick a 30-round magazine or a Surefire 60-round magazine, or might even be able to shove a Beta C-Mag in there with a 100-round drum. But these standard military issue boxes right here are 200-round drums of 5.56. I know what they can do. They're relatively accurate. Oh, and by the way, they're from Fabrique Nationale as well. Yeah, isn't it a Belgian company? Yes, they also have they have American factories. Actually, they got a facility right here in South Carolina. So yeah, the M240, M249, M134, Mark 19, M2HB. These are all things you can plan on encountering, and you might still find some M9 Berettas floating around, even though they're doing a changeover. The M9 is going away, and the M17 Sig Sauer pistol is replacing it. So, pretty sure you might encounter some of these as well, and I guarantee you're going to find some M4s. Yeah. So these are the kind of friends that you're going to face whenever you go out there and try to storm Area 51 because I'm mentally defective and this is what I think I can do. Yeah. Remember, stupid hurts. And if you go out there and you get shot at or shot and killed, you get what you deserve. Yeah. Oh, you wish that people will get harmed? Yes, I do. You want people to get killed? Yeah, I do. I think it will set a lovely example. If you commit an act of domestic terrorism, you deserve to die. If you attack a U.S. military facility, you deserve to die. Simple as that. I don't care what you think you're doing. I don't care what you think your good intentions might be. There is no good intentions in attacking a U.S. military facility. So if you go out there and storm Area 51, let me know how that works for you, sunshine. But you're stupid. You need to be removed from the gene pool, by force preferably. Alright, I'm going to get out of here. It is 11 o'clock at night, and I have done absolutely zero all day long for me. I haven't done anything for me. I haven't played any games. I haven't watched any movies, any videos of anything productive for entertainment value. So I'm going to entertain myself, even if it involves rubbing my genitals with a cheese grater. I don't give a damn. If it seems like the good thing to do and it's not hurting anybody else, then I'm going to do it. I think I do have a cheese grater around here somewhere. It's okay. This is going to be the beef. I'm going to change the thumbnail for it, and I will try to do at least one of these videos a week, just allowing me to vent about stupid shit that's going on in the news that deserves to be focused on. But I should also point out there are some good things that happen in the news. Special interest stories. And pardon my search parameters for this, but I should at least finish off with something polite. Yes, and pardon my search parameters here, but I just wanted to share something positive before I close down on this video. Something happy and a little bit more upbeat. American Airlines. Okay? And everybody, oh, American Airlines did this, or this airline did that. In this particular case, American Airlines did something that was nice. They deserve some kudos on this. CBS covered this. Of course, it's been all over the place. I believe it was American Airlines. No, it may not have been. Well, they have done something like this before too. So American Airlines too, you're going to get kudos, even if it wasn't for the one that I'm talking about. But it's this particular one right here. Oh, this one says terminally ill. Well, it's possible also, but she has Down syndrome. She's 18 years old, I think. But essentially what it was is she has been taking one particular flight for quite a bit of time, going to and from different hospitals, for medical treatments and so forth. And, she has Down syndrome. Doesn't make her a bad person, doesn't make her defective or broken or whatever. She's a person, okay? She's people. So, most of the people that I've seen and been around, and I've worked in the medical field and transport EMS and all that kind of other stuff too, and I've been around people with Down syndrome and other different ailments and so forth, and typically, one of the best things you can do is if you get one of them to smile, and I'm saying one of them kind of people, I don't mean it that way, but someone with Down syndrome, you get them to smile, and it is the most expressive and most heart-melting thing that you can witness, is seeing that energy that comes from them when they're happy and smiling, and yeah, they're making weird noises and stuff, but damn it, they're just, the amount of positive energy that radiates from them, it just will melt your frickin' heart, man. You can't help but be touched. And if you don't get touched by it, then you need to be touched by a fist. But yeah, she'd been making this flight quite regularly, and the staff there, the flight attendants, and even the captain of the aircraft, the pilot, they all recognized her, and they dealt with seeing her and talking to her and everything else. They decided that they were going to make her a honorary flight attendant, because that's what she wanted to do. And they got her up there whenever the flight attendants, if you've ever been on a flight, they give you that, in any event of an emergency, this and that and everything else, the pre-flight speech. They had her up there in front of all the different passengers with the lady that was making the announcements, and this girl was helping the best that she could. And the crew, the passengers, everybody, it was like very highly positively charged environment, and everybody was just cheering and applauding and everything else. Made this girl's day. I'm sure it made her day. Just a heartwarming story. You don't get to see too many heartwarming stories anymore. And yeah, it was American Airlines. 17, I thought the other news thing said she was 18, but yeah, if you haven't seen this, yeah, watch the video. Minute and 17, whatever. Take a minute out of your life to look at something positive. And it says she's terminally ill, which, yeah, that sucks. It really hurts. But not sniffling because of that. Shut up. Leave me alone. I got sinus problems anyway. So Chantel, yeah. Take a few minutes to research this one. Google this one. So to ignore all the dumb shit in the world, what I want to do, I guess, with the beef segments, where I'm just criticizing stupid shit all around the world, I want to finish these videos off with a positive story, something that's gonna try to warm your heart a little bit and kind of make up for all the dumb shit in this country. But take a few minutes out of your day and research this. Something that was done by a company that didn't have to do it. It's not going to make them, well, it might make them a little bit more money because it's doing a positive story on them and humanizes the company a little bit. But just because a company might be encased in douchebaggery because all they care about is money, doesn't mean the employees actually are that way. And I'm sure this was initiated by the staff of this aircraft, the the flight attendants, whatever they wish to be called nowadays. I don't want to offend them because they're doing a good job. Um, they are the ones that chose to do this. The airline pilot, he went along with it as part of it. I mean, hell, had pictures of her posing in the cockpit of the aircraft, stuff like that. I'm sure they initiated that, but it puts a really good spin back on the company. So companies that allow that to happen, kudos to you. There are companies that will squash crap like that because, oh, well, that's not making us any money. We don't care about that. It's going to make you frickin' money. What is the first thing that says right here? American Airlines. Your company name is the headline of a story that has a positive ending with a big ass smile. I mean, I don't care if you're prejudiced, don't like black people or whatever else. I don't give a shit. You look at that girl's smile and tell me that, and that's just a picture. But if you were to see her in person, which I have not, but I've been around people like that, to see that smile, to feel the energy coming off of a smile like that, if that doesn't warm your heart, then you're dead inside. Get out the gene pool. But yeah, look at that smile. Come on. How could you not be happy seeing someone smile like that? You would feel the positivity in the room. You would feel the happy energy. So take a few minutes, look at this story, and do something that's going to warm your heart instead of fill it with bitter shit like mine's always filled with. I'm always bitter. Well, I didn't realize from South Carolina. I'm in South Carolina, so I should have probably known about this. But she's been traveling back and forth from Denmark, South Carolina to Cincinnati, Ohio, Cincinnati Children's Hospital. Wonder if that's the Shriner Hospital or the... I think the Shriner Hospital was in Cincinnati. I met a crew from the Shriner Children's Burn Clinic. Holy crap. I have never seen a medical team of nurses or whatever else that worked with more precision. They made NASCAR teams look like shit. These gals came in, they didn't even have to talk. They were just like handing shit back and forth. They knew their shit. They knew what they were doing. And I was dumbfounded. I was speechless. And I never shut up. And, these girls, whew, besides being smoking ass hot, yeah, I gotta get my pig comment in. But, man, those girls. I was driving for a ambulance company who had a contract with the this big medical college here in Charleston. And, we would do their before they moved their helipad to the actual hospital itself. It was across town, like almost a quarter mile away from the frickin' hospital. And we would actually go over there and be waiting at the helipad for the helicopter to show up and transport the patient from the helipad a quarter of a mile or eighth of a mile, whatever, across town to the emergency room. Kind of dumb to not have your helipad on your building, but that's been resolved now. But so whenever this crew came in from the Shriners Burn Clinic in Ohio, we got the call to go meet the crew at the airport, which was a executive airport where they came in this nice Learjet or Bombardier, whatever you want to call it nowadays, but that kind of jet. Was there waiting for them whenever the plane showed up. They taxied over, they got out, moved their equipment into my ambulance. I took them down to the hospital, went up there with them because it was my gurney, my stretcher for I had to go up there with them. So watch these girls work, and the precision, the professional behavior, the fact that they didn't even have to really say something. This girl knew that or nurse or whatever, this nurse knew that nurse needed a particular thing at a specific time. She would just grab it, reach it over, and just hold her arm out. The other girl knew that that's where nurse, I'm not trying to be sexist or racist or whatever, or pig, whatever. They just knew that somebody was going to be handing them what they needed without saying anything. They were just blindly reaching over and getting things and handing things over, and just the precision and the quality of teamwork that these girls did, these nurses, whatever you want to call them, they were people. So they just did absolutely a great job. And in this particular incident, It was a 2-year-old child and a 4-year-old child that were burned. Apparently, there was a fire in the house, and they were in their beds asleep. And the 2-year-old and the 4-year-old were burned with third-degree burns, over 70%. I think one of them was like 85% of their body. The other one was like 65 or 70% of their body was third-degree burns. They were in really bad condition. And the Shriner Burn Clinic in Ohio flew a Learjet from Ohio to Charleston, South Carolina. They could only operate and take care of one at a time. So they flew in. I took the crew to the hospital. They prepped the patient for transport, this poor child, and went back to the airport, helped them load back into the airplane. They flew back to Ohio, offloaded, secured, and went back to the airport, flew back to Charleston to come and pick up the other one, where I met him back at the airport again, took him back over, and got to watch this frickin' NASCAR pit crew show of these girls working a second time, and I was just as impressed the second time as I was the first time. And carried him back to the hospital, and off they went. But yeah, pretty cool. So we're ending this with a positive note on good stuff. Take a few minutes to research the American Airlines and the Down syndrome girl, and look at this story. Thanks for watching, and I'm gonna get out of here. Love you guys all, and not just when it's cold. See ya.